Tammy, how are you?
Hi, Vince.
It looks like it's
Mm,
you so far today. So
yay.
how's things been?
Um, Ups and downs, trying to take it all in, trying to, I guess, just attend more meetings and just try and surround myself with this stuff a little bit, trying to understand, last time we differentiated between like a mystical experience versus realization and like, where states come in and different states come in versus realization, and some of those states might show like less attachment or see things from a wider perspective, but still it's just an experience rather than a realization. So with all these things I'm trying to kind of pull apart and see, what's valuable to pursue and what not, and what is getting me closer or what is um you know what I mean, like where
Yeah,
where am
yeah,
I, um but yeah, but it all comes back to whatever state you go into. Here we are again, right? We're still here in this body, in this, going through this experience and dealing with the life. And so just trying to understand where I'm going with this, where this is going, and what's valuable to look at or
yeah,
practice,
yeah,
and
yeah.
what brings me closer and what's a detour. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, trying to understand it is certainly a detour. Um, it's an attempt to keep the mind satisfied. When what you said about a mystical state is true to a certain point, and that is that it is a state, and as such, like everything else, it's going to be temporary. But to say that that's not realization, well, I wouldn't even put it in those terms at all. It is or it isn't realization, because realization isn't a thing. But there are elements of realization in it that affect you and change you and show you possibilities. So let's not write them off as totally useless if they occur. But there are moments people have every day that you would describe as realization or awake moments, even if by accident, if they're not intentional. um, I have to laugh every time I say anything because the language is really weird. But anyway, yeah. So what I'm, they're trying to understand. I hear you say that, and I don't know what's behind it, like how invested you are in the understanding. In the
It's
end,
more that I meant,
go on.
sorry, it's more that I meant just trying to understand which direction of attention or thoughts or focus have
Uh,
value.
okay,
That's what I,
okay, yeah, yeah. Don't worry about that. I mean, I get that you want to participate in this, and that's a funny one too. That your mind wants to participate, but in fact, it's gonna happen quite parallel to that, if you like, in a weird way to look at it. Outside of it, it's not involved at all, but you can placate your mind as it goes by giving it things to do. Essentially, we want you to learn that your mind has a mind of its own, and that although its intention is good, it's it's misguided. It's going to give you all sorts of stuff to do, It's going to tell you that this is the right direction to go in and this is good and all the rest of it. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just the mind doing what the mind does. So whether it gets satisfied or not is almost irrelevant. Almost. So knowing the right way to go, knowing what's valuable, that doesn't help, because what you don't know might well be more valuable than what you do know. You don't know. We've got no control over this. I described it in a story I wrote recently that's not published yet, about it, called brownie points. You pick up brownie points as you go, and each time you have a shift in realization, each time a belief changes, you get a brownie point, and at some point you get tipped over the edge into, you get your badge for all the brownie points, and that's a big enough shift to change things in your experience at an ordinary daily level, without effort, without trying, without, you can't pat yourself on the back for it because you didn't do anything. It just happened.
Yeah, so I guess my question is where to put, so maybe it's not described as mind understanding, but where to put my focus or my attention, or
You can't
what
control that
tools.
either. Your attention is going to go where it's drawn to, and it's going to be drawn to it by a whole lot of conditioning, right? Usually it'll have something to do with what makes you feel okay, or sometimes it'll be, and in the worst of moments, it'll be where you feel least bad. If not, so it's still in the direction of wanting to feel better. But that'll happen. That's automatic. You don't control where your attention goes. You think you can. It's like you think you can control your breathing too. Well, you can for a moment, and you can control your attention for a moment. But the moment you aren't controlling it, which is like 5 seconds in, it goes where it's drawn, doesn't it? Haven't you noticed that?
Absolutely. I guess just questioning if there's anything that I can do that could be valuable, even if my attention is a pea brain size of 5 minutes, or
Yeah. Got it. Don't put it down. That's just the nature of it. But okay, yeah, all right. So now, what if you can right now get a feeling that there's nothing you can do, absolutely nothing. You are totally helpless in this process. Can you get a feel for that? Right. There's not a thing you've said today that I haven't jumped on. Not because I'm jumping on it for that's not the primary thing. The primary thing is to tell you that give up. Give up. That's your best route, if you like, into this place. Giving up. Stop trying to do anything. Stop trying to wake up. That's your best chance of waking up. The moment you try, you're heading off down the wrong track.
so now I have to figure out how to try not to try. This is very confusing.
It is. It is. I know it is. And that's a good thing. Welcome the confusion, because it would be like the dog chasing its own tail. But except that you're not the dog who's doing it thinking he might actually catch his tail, if that's what they do. I don't know. But be like, that recognize that you're just an observer in all of this, and you're observing this body, this organism doing what it does. And you're observing the world outside of this organism, the body, doing what it does. And in fact, there's no difference between this organism and anything else in the world. Right? So they're all objective for you from a point of view of being an observer.
But besides being intolerant of grains, how do I collect more brownies? In other words, you said that we can collect these and eventually
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
over the edge. So is
Okay.
there anything I can do?
Yeah. Okay. So here's a story that I would use with this, right? It's skill puts you in the way of luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've been playing golf for, I don't know, for 35 years, and I've had one hole in one, and it happened when I first started playing golf, quite by sheer accident. It happened, and it's never happened again since in all that time. Yet those professional players who are really, really good at this game, they get lucky frequently and they might have a hole in one every year or several every year even. I don't know. But what I'm pointing to is that because their skill level is high, they're in the luck zone. Right. So when that ball goes in the hole as a hole in one, it's luck that does it. Right? If it was skill, if they had control, they could do it again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't. Right? It happens by luck whether it goes in or not. That's just or when I say by luck, let's say some mysterious bunch of conditions turn up, and then that's why the ball goes in the hole. Right? We don't really know, but that's a good story. And calling it luck, that's as good as saying mysterious conditions. It's just luck. Right? But because they've got skill, they're more likely to have luck. And it's the same thing with this. You put yourself in the luck zone by coming to these meetings, by doing whatever it is you do that you might consider to be on this path. And I am telling you that the most important things you do on this path are the ordinary everyday things that you do, not watching videos, not reading books. I mean, if that happens, that happens. Right? So if you're in a bookstore and you see a book that says "Read me and you'll wake up," or whatever's on the spine or on the cover of it, and you're drawn to do it, and you do it. But giving yourself a list of jobs to do in order to get there isn't going to work, because with that intent, that really strong intent, you're running down the wrong path. You're making the delusions that you've got control and that you can do it stronger. Whereas you want to realize that, wow, you know what? All of this stuff just happens. And a lot of the stuff that happens to me naturally, spontaneously, is the result of what I have learned, of a lifetime of being around the conditions that have pushed me in the direction that I find myself now. The conditions, it's what we've learned. So the organism gets conditioned. And here we are, the result of all of that conditioning. And that conditioning affects us in how we relate to the ordinary, everyday world. So are you close to realizing that there's absolutely nothing that you can do?
I'm still hung up on where can I put myself on those things that you said about collecting brownie points and putting yourself in a place where you can develop
Right.
skill, luck. So what are those things that I can do? In other words, I don't know, I'm getting a mixed message here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the best place for you to be is where you are. Now, I'm not meant to be smart asked about that, or funny. I'm saying that that where you are and what you experience in every moment of every day is the ripest place for you to be. It is the place of most value. So whether that's washing the dishes or feeling shitty because somebody's judging you or whatever it is, those are your opportunities to recognize your relationship to your interpretation that comes from those circumstances. So did you pick up on that one? It's not the circumstances itself, it's how you feel about those circumstances, and that how you feel about it is your relationship to it. And that's where the stickiness of identification is. That's where the belief is that this is pushing and pulling at me and controlling me and giving me the outcomes that I'm having, which are not pleasant. Do you get that? Every moment of every day is the best place that you can possibly be.
So I guess in my mind, this is what I'm hearing is to just watch myself get triggered, just like watch the patterns of like this happened and then
Yes,
that happened within me and
yes.
just be aware that it's all just conditioning and just watch it happen. That's what you would suggest.
Yeah, no, now be careful here though. There's a slight difference in when you say be aware of it all happening.
Mm-hmm.
What you're looking for is what is actually happening. What is my interpretation? In other words, what are the stories about what this means? And then recognize that none of those are of any value. None of those are right for a start, probably. They could be right, but essentially what be aware of your relationship to what you think it means and recognize that what you think it means is what the mind's brought to the party and it has nothing to do with what is actually going on. But look, confusion is fine. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. You just keep asking questions or keep coming back to where you until you get it. Once you get it, once you go, oh, okay, yeah, now I understand what you're saying. That'll eventually happen. And sometimes it's like we're wading through syrup or we're walking through fog or something until you do get it. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's all fine. That's it. We just keep on keeping on. You know, I don't get frustrated that you don't get it because I know how long it took for me to get it. It's just the way it is. It's not something you can control. So we just keep on keeping on. We just keep on casting seeds out and hope that some germinate. And they will. Little ones will germinate, and eventually those things will add up to a whole brownie point or whatever. Or if you have a shift, you get a badge. Great. Now let's move on to the fire lighting one or whatever.
Okay. So for now, just keep watching stories, interpretations, labels, and emotions that arise.
Yep. Yep. And if it happens that you can be enthusiastic about that, you're in a much better place for things to hit home. But if you're not, you're not. That's okay too. If you just resign to the fact that it feels frustrating because you can't do something, you haven't got a defined list of homework to do, that's also okay, because there's exactly what you can look at, the frustration that this doesn't feel like it's going to get me anywhere. Wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing, that's the perfect place for you to be. For two
Okay.
reasons. One is that you
Mhm.
can't do anything about it. There you are. It's already done. And the second is that it's the best opportunity for you to recognize your relationship to it. How do you feel about it? So when you consider that, then you can consider that what you could do is immediately look to what is the body experiencing. How do you feel about it is a literal feel, not what you think about it, which is often what that term refers to. If I say to somebody, how do you feel about such and such, they'll tell me what they think about it, won't they? But I'm saying
Mhm.
to you, what are you actually feeling when I say, how do you feel about it?
And why is that valuable?
Well, for a start, it takes you out of your head so that the stories have less strength of what's going on. And the second thing is that your body is going to be relating to your connection to those circumstances, whereas your head's going to be lost in what the circumstances are. The body is responding with how it feels about, literal feeling about those circumstances. So then that what the body is experiencing is much more direct. It's not as filtered.
I mean, unless it's responding to my belief in my story rather than to what's happening, but I guess that's a different matter. But
Yes, you're right. You know, and that's true. But there's there's a yeah, there's a before and an after kind of thing there. You know, so the body will experience something that it's reminded of, if you like, that will be the trigger emotion feeling. Right? And then then that will generate a story, and then the body will respond to that story, and that's the one that you just talked about. Whereas your body's responding to what you interpret is actually going on, rather than what is actually going on. And so but learning the difference about that, what the body's experiencing,
Mhm.
um, that's just familiarity. You just in getting into the subtlety of it and so on. So you will start to pick up on the difference between those two things. You'll see that that the body response to the story about the body response has quite a different flavour to the original body response. But you'll get it. Don't fret. You'll start to differentiate as you get better and better at identifying sensations, where they are, what they feel like, beyond the level of a label. That's just superficial. Any label is going to be superficial. So getting into the details, the subtlety of the sensations is where this information starts to become really valuable for you.
Mhm. So it's basically about not getting lost in stories and stuff and staying
That's
with
right.
what it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. That's a
Okay.
good realization for you to have. Yeah. Now that's but then again, the same thing again. Well, if we look underneath what you just said a little bit, right? Not getting lost in stories. It's not to say if I reject a story, I'm going to be in the right place, because that's just another story, right? And you can't stop the stories that turn up. So it's really a case of how engaged you are with the stories. By allowing the stories to do what the stories do, which is run and go from the beginning to through the middle to the end. Well, there's never really an end with those stories, but essentially by allowing them to do whatever it is they want to do, but not engaging with them, is my experience of the best way to get out of the thought loop stuff. Just allow them to do whatever they want to do and just tell them, go over the other side of the room and do it. Leave me alone. I'm busy looking at my sensations.
Okay. And this is all a valuable thing on the way to realization.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. The most valuable thing, I think. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. I sense some of this already from our talks and from putting into practice, so I can sense into it more.
Yeah,
And
great. Yeah.
truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Hello?
Oh, Vicky.
I have so many questions after what you just said with Tammy. So, like, this topic is really relevant to me right now because I've been designating 2 hours of meditation for myself. Sorry. Azaha. Like, I've been designating 2 hours of meditation for every day for myself, and I realized that I can't do it because I don't like meditating. And so I guess my first question is like the fact that you're giving this advice probably means that it works for you. So can you describe like what happened at the end of your seeking journey? Like can I get a rough estimate of like after you give up seeking, how long it takes for you to be awakened? I know it's different for everybody, but I just want like a case example first.
Mm. No, I probably can't give you anything of value about that. But when I stopped talking to Tammy, I was lost in the same stuff that you're talking about. I was, it was really, I couldn't put it into words. It was difficult. What I wanted to say to Tammy was something along the lines of, take everything I've said and put it up on Paul's blackboard, and they're just words, they're just strokes of chalk that we give meaning to, and we call it language and so on. So there's no value in that stuff at all. But it's in what they were pointing to where the value is. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with you. Like, let's say there's no value at all in meditation itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but I'm just saying the value for you is in what you discover while you're meditating. And what you discover is that you don't like it. So that's where the value is for you.
Yeah.
there's juice there in that moment of not liking it. And that's when your mind is going to get really busy and do what it does and come up with all sorts of rational reasons to not do it and reasons to do it. And then they'll be fighting between so all this is going on in the mind. It's totally irrelevant. But what it points to is, what are you feeling? Not an answer to that question, what are you feeling? Because as soon as you look for the answer, you're off in the wrong track anyway, and you can't really describe it. But that feeling about it is telling you something, and that's telling you something about your conditioning.
Mhm.
And that's where the value is for you. And again, it's not to say it shouldn't be happening. It's to recognize what is actually happening. So again, whether you meditate or wash the dishes, it makes no difference. Meditation is probably more valuable because you feel stronger about not doing that than you do about not doing the dishes, maybe. So those things that evoke a strong emotion, that's where the juice is for you. That's the right place to be. But it's not about the thing that provokes the emotion. That's already a diversion. It's about what's underneath that. So what we're looking for here, even though we recognise that it's a silly thing to say it like that, but what we're looking for here is something really subtle underneath all of that, something that can't be described. Words don't do it. It's a feeling of connection to whatever the stories are that turn up. And so let's say eventually stories run, but there is no engagement with them. And so consequently, well, let's just say, consequently, you're not reacting to the content of stories. It's probably not true, but yeah, it's a good place to look.
I'm getting a candy.
Mm.
But can I ask, like, so I'm not really getting it. I'm trying to get it. Like, so there's like this subtle thing where, like, because like I think what you said before is that even our current perception of reality is thought based, so we don't perceive reality accurately at all. And are you saying that like what we need is to perceive like the real in what's happening, and what it is really subtle, and it's like a connection to like self and the divine? Like, is that what you're saying?
No, not really. But yeah, kind of. That's on the way to what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mm.
Come on, Xander, help me out here. Paul, help me out. Help.
Can I hear the question restated clearly?
So I heard from Vince before that people don't perceive reality accurately because their perception of reality is already like affected, like it's through their thought. So through their concepts, like, oh, that's a couch and that's a giraffe, like that's how they perceive reality. So it's already not real. And I thought Vince was saying that he like what we need to do is perceive reality accurately, like the subtle layer of it, or maybe not the subtle layer of it, but I guess like the subtlety of it, which is before thought. And I thought that was what he was saying, but he said that's not what he's saying.
Not quite sure what Vince was saying, but like words and concepts are like maps. And there's, the saying, the map is not the terrain.
Mm.
And it's super ordinary and non-special to be in touch with the terrain, but we rarely are. We get lost in our concepts and reference other concepts. So getting in touch with the terrain is kind of like job one and discovering that it's actually there, but it's not particularly special and ordinary. You see it constantly, you just instantly overlay it probably with your thoughts. It's not really hidden, it's just slightly obscured because you keep looking at the map.
The thought that turns up here is that, see, I got lost. That's why I had trouble taking it further, because I got lost in what that was pointing to. Let's use this analogy. Let's go. You've got this map that you've been issued with at birth, right? And it's very socially oriented map. What we're doing now is we're saying, look, you know what? I've got a better map here for you, and it's minus a whole lot of those socially oriented rules and regulations and so on. Right? Because what it is more about the way things actually happen. Right? But you move your direction finding in life over to this new map, right? And once you get familiar with that, well, we'll give you an even better map. But let's just move from the socially oriented one to this other one as a halfway point or a staging point on the way to an even better map. And so what I'm saying is that when you do recognise already, Vicky, at an intellectual level at least, you recognise the existence of stories and how stories can change your perception when you react to them as if they were actual. You see that already, don't you? Right? You just need to practice it until it becomes automatic.
Mm.
And once it's automatic, you're on the second map. But we've still got we've still got another several maps that we can use. But let's just get onto the second map, or rather, let's get off the first one.
Mm.
And once we're on the second one and we're off the first one, then we can fine tune. And you end up with these maps that show you so much more detail than you ever knew existed, because the first one is obscured with stories all the time.
Vicky, let me give you an example, a personal example, which is maybe overly simplistic, maybe not. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I had a friend, she was attacked by a German Shepherd when she was real little, and had to go to the hospital and get stitches, and it was a very traumatic incident for her. And one day we were walking down the street here, going to a restaurant. This was years ago. And a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine was walking up the street, and he had a German Shepherd on a leash. Now,
Mm.
what I saw was a German Shepherd on a leash. What she saw was a replay of a childhood trauma, and she freaked out.
Mm.
Now, she wasn't seeing, she may have momentarily seen a German Shepherd on a leash, but then the story flashed up. And that's what she thought she was seeing. Had nothing to do with what her vision was doing. The story flashed in front of her. That was not reality. that was a story about reality. And if you say you walk up to a painting somewhere in an art museum, you may very well flash a story up onto that painting. It may just be colors and textures and may actually be nothing, but you may interpret it and flash a story up onto it. So the story seems to appear before reality. Now, ultimately,
Mm.
what you're looking at, you can strip away the label of painting, and then it's just colors and textures. And then if you strip that away, that's colors and textures, then there's no way of even knowing what you're looking at. But the map is the story that you frequently, because of your conditioning and your bringing up and things that happen to you, your map is frequently thrown over what is actually being seen. Do you get that?
Oh, is it like, oh, okay. So is it like, so in the past, I used to think that like, what if like we just had an experiment where like there's a child and they're born into a totally white room and they cannot learn anything. They're just like fed like liquid food that, and there's like no types of food or something like that. Just like like they get the nutrients enough to like be to grow up, but like they just do not learn any concepts. So we're kind of getting to like, so it's kind of like going to that state, right? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I would say that's some kind of extreme example that I wouldn't even want to touch. But I mean, you're getting into something like sensory deprivation, and that's just not normal experience. It's just like what I told you. You may have had a, a let's say you had a boyfriend in the past that was abusive, and he was 5'10" and really blonde hair and had a certain look, and then you run into guys like that all the time, and the first thing that comes is not that you're just looking at another guy. That was that abusive boyfriend that you saw, and you may freeze up. You're seeing and reacting to a story, and you may be playing that
Mhm.
story out in your head, playing out that abuse again, and you're reacting to something that isn't actually there.
Right. So how does that apply to like my life, my daily life? Because like, can you give me an example of like, because I don't feel like I mean, I'm probably applying stories, but I don't know like what stories I'm applying, if that makes sense. So can you give me like an
Yeah.
example?
Well, most of the time, it's not in your normal daily life. If you're walking through the street and you see a bus coming, the story is there's a bus coming. Don't step out in front of it. It's not that you're not seeing a certain level of reality, but you may have had something in the past that had to do with that, some type of traumatic incident that may frighten you. You could superimpose something over that. I can't give you a personal example. I don't know you that well. I'm just saying a bus is coming up the street. Anything you attach beyond that is kind of a story being played out. You know, when you
Mm.
add content to that, oh, I almost got run over when I was a kid. Well, that's a story about what's actually happening. It's just a bus coming. Oh, I better get back. I
Mm.
better get back 20 feet from the curb. Well, I don't want to blah, 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 blah. All the content that's added to experience are the stories. And you get to the point where if it's difficult to distinguish between just a bus coming and all that stuff that you attached to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're seeing a different world than the guy sitting next to you, standing next to you, that just sees a bus coming.
yeah,
So it's usually in
yeah. That
addition
makes
to
sense.
a story that you're getting right, rather than I mean, if you're not seeing reality, if you're not seeing a bus coming, then you're just psychotic, and that's not what we're talking about here.
Mm.
So
You want
what comes to mind here is that if you see that bus coming out of the corner of your eye, and I immediately grab you and sit you down and give you a test and say, well, tell me the details about that bus. You probably couldn't tell me much at all. You might vaguely tell me colours that might or might not be accurate, and whether it's a single decker or a double decker or whatever, you know, you just have this vague thing in your mind about a bus. That's what the brain did. That's the story that got created, that there's a bus there, and that's perfectly adequate for the circumstances, right? You're not intending to catch the bus. You don't know, you don't need to work out where it's going to stop to get on it. You don't need anything. It's just all you need to do is avoid getting run over by it. And so you've got this, not just this picture in your mind that the brain created of a bus, you know, it's almost like there's this label floating there in the shape of a bus that's there, right? And that the mind has also worked out the trajectory of it, you know, that how fast it's going and in what direction it's going and all the rest of it. And the consequence is that it knows how to avoid being run over by it. And that's all that you need to know about it for the moment, right? That's perfectly useful use of story that the mind does. The mind is predictive. It creates things out of minimum amount of data. And it does that for the purpose of saving energy. And it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And all we want to do is recognize that that happens. We don't need to stop it. We don't need to change it. We just need to recognize that it happens. And so that when you see the German Shepherd in the case of Paul's example, you recognize that you're seeing a German Shepherd and that you also are experiencing this story that comes up about getting attacked by one when you were young, if that was the case, right? And so the consequence is you can differentiate between what you're actually seeing and the story in this case. So,
Okay, so is that what you, oh, sorry.
no, you're going.
Is that what you told Tammy? Like kind of pay attention to the stories that happen every day and also pay attention to other stuff as well, like your emotions and like, but the stories is like a part of it, right?
Yep, it's all part of it. Yeah. And I'm saying we are conditioned to primarily pay attention to the story. And so our way of breaking that is to start learning to pay attention to the body first.
Mm.
It seems
Oh, because
like
like, oh,
you go.
because the story is totally from your thoughts, right? So you have to change it to your body.
Yep. And when you start
Mm.
paying attention to your body, you can differentiate between the story that comes up and the story that is carried around.
Mm.
It's a
I think I
question of
get this now.
noticing. It's a question of
Mm.
noticing. You notice the sensations in your body as opposed to noticing the thought stream that's going on about things. Feel the pressure in your feet as you're walking. Do you feel the pressure in your feet? Just feel the pressure in your feet. Do you feel that?
Yeah,
Now you notice how when you feel the pressure in your feet, you're not wandering around in some story about enlightenment and waking up.
right.
So it's a question of
Yeah.
noticing. No, it's not thoughts about your body. It's noticing the sensations going on. The feeling of pressure under your feet, the feeling of pressure in your fingers with the thing you're holding. You're noticing that as opposed to noticing thoughts. It gets you out of your head.
Mm.
That's what we mean.
Mm.
And what I noticed, Vicky, was you go, right. And that to me was you recognizing something. You had a little, you
Mhm.
picked up a brownie point on the way past. You saw
Mm.
something, yeah?
Yeah, like I think what I'm getting from this is that the goal is to get to like in Taoism, there's the mother or something, or like the unformed clay or something like that. I don't know what it is, but or like wood, but like before it's made into furniture. So we want to get to like the unformed place, but right now everything is like formed into something. So is that like
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I
Simple
also ask a different
noticing is
question?
that
Oh.
simple noticing is unformed clay. Simple
Mm,
noticing. Once you go into the story, then you've made an ashtray or a cup or a vase. Just the noticing is
mm,
unformed clay. Even noticing the pressure under your feet, then you're the story of your feet. The sensation of your feet is the story of your feet. The noticing, in the absence of any sensation or story, is the unformed clay. The simple, the simple
mm,
act of noticing. That's why I gave you that experiment about just notice your thoughts coming and going. There's the noticing, and then there's the thoughts that show up in the noticing. They come and they go. Just the noticing is is the clay, if you're looking for an analogy, which is getting back into story, but we're limited in what we can do here without words. You get that?
yeah, like I think I know what you're talking about, because what has happened to me before is I like sometimes I would stare at something, like I would stare at something, and then before I realize what it is, it's just super, like there was a feeling of like being super engaged and interested in what that is because I don't know what it is. But then I give it more of a stare for a couple more seconds, and then I know that, oh, it's just like a wine bottle, or like it's a wine bottle and there's like something in front of it. So and then there's just no interest in it after that, because like I know what it is, so it's just like uninteresting. But so the goal is to get to like before I realize it's a wine bottle and something, right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really
Yes.
good one. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as you put that label on it, you're relating to the idea of it in your head, not the actual wine bottle.
Mm,
Up until a label turns up, you're experiencing a connection. And the moment that the label turns up, there is a disconnection. You create separateness, and you create a subject and an object. You create a self. The moment you create that object out there, you also create an object in here. And we call that object the
mm,
self. You know? So it's like, ooh, there you go. So that's a
mm,
great one. You've had the experience. That's a really big thing. You've had the experience. You know what we're talking about from an experiential level. That's
mm,
what you would call direct experiencing. And then the label
mm.
turns up.
Okay. So now I'm just wondering like how I can do that with my different senses, because I did it with my eyesight before, and now I
Yep.
guess I just gotta deal with different senses. But anyway, can I ask a different question now?
Yeah, just before you go,
Okay.
that's the skill you'll develop. So
Mm,
keep playing. I'm not saying keep practicing. I'm saying keep playing with
Hmm.
that. Keep an
mm,
attitude of play, because that's where discovery is. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
here's a
go
right.
on.
fun game. Here's a fun game. You can pretend that you are a total stranger in the environment that you're in. See if you can see through the eyes of somebody who's never been in your house before. Like you seem to be walking around in a
Mm,
place you're quite familiar with. Pretend you're not. See if you can see through the eyes of a stranger, your environment. You have no idea
okay.
what anything
Got it.
is. No stories, no experience. Yeah.
Yeah, with
Okay. Thank
fresh
you.
eyes is a term. Yeah. or as a child.
Mm.
That's another way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as an alien.
As an alien is brilliant. Yeah, that's a good way to do it for
Yeah.
sure.
And you could try
Yeah.
that with like touch as well. Like when you touch something, you could try to like not know what you're touching and like pretend that, yeah, you're an alien. It's like, what is that? And just like kind of ask the
Mm.
question with no expectation of an answer, with curiosity. It's like, what are you?
Oh, and then the answer is the same thing as like, who am I?
Kinda, yeah. There is no answer. But like in the curiosity, in the genuine curiosity, there's a knowing that is different than a story.
Okay.
It's more like an
Thank you.
alive knowing. It's a living experience. It's not like I'm this. It's
Is it like, so what we're doing right now, or like where you guys are pointing me to, is that like, because you know how after you're done seeking, you're just curious about everything and that's why you keep on learning stuff? But like, are you guys trying to put me into that mind state of like, I'm already awakened? Like, is that why?
Yeah.
take off the Vicky mask and look.
Yes. Yeah. You see that? Did you see the sneaky way you got back into Vicky there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Okay, I
alien,
guess I'm theorizing.
yeah, that alien walking around this thing we call a house. We don't know that it's called a house, but we know that we don't even know that we call this walking or whatever. This alien has come out of a different an experience with different gravity, and so when he's touching something, he's not looking to name that something. He's not looking to turn it into an object. He's looking to, he's just so wound up in the experience of touching. Oh, wow. Is this what gravity does? This feeling of touch. Do we call it pressure when I put my fingertips on something and touch it? Right. What is the actual physical experience? That is also brand new and novel to the alien because he doesn't know about gravity. He's come from a different gravity environment. He has, oxygen and air change the way touch happens for him here on this thing called Earth. So it's so novel, and it's not an attempt. It's not touching things in order to find a label for them. It's touching things in order to just experience this amazing thing called touch. Wow, it's so novel. Yeah.
Oh, that's what Pernelli talked about, like the joy of experiencing.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it now. Can I say like my plan according to like, okay, so my plan right now is like, after hearing all this, like it is making sense to me and I do trust it. But like based on my past experience, like every single spiritual experience I had was based on some effort that I put in. Like if I meditate, my eyes would like have a black mist like one time or something, and then if I like, well, there were some spontaneous ones, but it's just so hard for me to not like try because it almost feels like it's too good to be true. And then there's like the idea of like, oh, like what if it doesn't work out, like, or like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't, you know what I'm saying, like if I don't try for like, and like what if like I'm 5 years into it and still nothing happened, and I just wasted the time. I mean, I don't think I'll think
Stop,
like that
stop,
because
stop, 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 stop. Whoa, whoa.
Oh.
Somebody needs to put a halter on you, girl. Just, just stop. Notice, just right now, notice the pressure in your feet as you're walking. You feel your feet? You feel whatever it is in your hands? You feel that pressure? You're noticing, right? You notice the pressure? All right, noticing. That's it. Notice you wander off into a story. Notice that.
That's a big
Notice your
one.
feet.
Oh, okay.
Just notice when you wander off in a story. And when you notice that you're in a story, just kind of say, oh, story. And then just notice that you were in a story. Just keep noticing that you're wandering off into stories. That's it.
And even notice when a story starts and you notice that you've noticed that the story starts, notice that there'll be a strong pull to keep going with that story, to finish that story. Because story promises you satisfaction if you follow it down the rabbit hole. It never delivers it, but it promises.
The satisfaction of a story is in the dropping of the story, which is usually experienced at the end of the story, but doesn't have to wait.
Okay.
So
So
when
I
you're
think
noticing the pressure in your feet, right, for sure, a story is going to come along and seduce you away from that. And it'll be a story about Vicky. Oh, if only I did such and such and do such and such, and then you might wake up. What do you notice? You notice that you're not noticing your feet anymore and you're noticing a story. And as soon as you notice that a story is turned up, it's almost like you've given a choice to follow it or not. Right? And the inclination will be, there'll be a strong pull to follow it because that's what you've always done. You've followed them. You've entertained yourself by following them. Right? And now you're going, I wonder what will happen if I don't. And that there'll be a feeling of dissatisfaction. But once you stay with that feeling of dissatisfaction, you'll feel satisfied that you've stayed with the dissatisfaction. And you'll get better and better and better at not being pulled, seduced. You've been groomed. Your mind knows how to control you.
so. What if I don't make any choices and I just observe the choices that are being made? Like, is that possible?
Even if it's possible to choose that one.
Like, I'm not gonna decide anything anymore because like it's being decided for me. Because like even right now, as I'm listening to you guys, like the background program is still running where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna do 2 hours of meditation anymore. I'm gonna do 1 hour, and I'm gonna go. And the way I'm gonna go to gym is that I'm not gonna do 2 hours of gym every day. I'm gonna do 1 hour, and I'm not gonna try too hard about it. So it's just like it's all running in the back of my mind right now.
Yeah.
And so, is that like how it works?
Yep. Just noticing that it's happening. Yeah. And
Oh.
notice if there's an inclination to judge it, to say, oh, that's right, or that's good, or that's not good. That's also part of it. So when we talk about this stuff, we make it simplistic. We talk about things like they're individual things, but they're not. Everything's all tied up together. So it makes it a lot more complex than what it sounds like.
Okay. Can I ask one? Can I ask one last question?
You can ask as many last questions as you like.
Okay. So, so like, sorry, my dad is here. Like, what's the question? The question is like, I don't understand thoughts that come from volition because when I'm thinking in my head, like I guess like half of the thoughts, most thoughts are like random and they just come up. But like some of them, like for example, if I'm doing like who am I or like I am, it's from me, right? Like the thought is from me. So
No, it's not. It's
because
exactly the
it
same
feels
as the
like
other
it's
ones.
from.
Yeah, sure it does. Yeah, but it's because it feels like it is no proof that it is. It's only
Mm,
proof that it feels like it,
mm.
right? So
So
you
it's
started
just a
this.
sensation.
you started this question with I, 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 I. You said that 3 or 4 times before you got into the actual question, but you didn't notice any of that, did you?
No.
I did, which proves nothing. It means nothing. All I'm pointing out to you is that the sneaky way that mind works is that we don't even notice it happening.
Mm.
And what you're looking to do is to start noticing.
Mm.
That's a skill. That's a skill that you're going to develop because you practice it. And you're going
Right.
to, and every moment of every day is an opportunity for you to do that. It doesn't have to be with meditating. It can be with walking, washing the dishes, having a shit. Every single one, everything that happens is all part of an opportunity to notice. And to notice whether or not you judge. If you have an opinion about anything, you're judging. And if you're judging, it means you're lost in story.
Mm.
Maybe not the original story, but a story about the story. So we start to get into that complication again.
Okay, actually, last question. When you say stop seeking and start noticing, like what should I notice?
Just pretend you're not
Notice whether
Vicky.
you're noticing or not. Sorry, Xander.
Just pretend you're not Vicky. Just like keep returning to that. Keep taking off the Vicky mask, and you can't help but notice. The moment you think you know what you're seeing, the Vicky mask is back on. Just keep taking it off. And eventually you'll discover that you aren't Vicky and you never were. Right now, you are
Mm.
addicted to being Vicky. You think you are, so you interpret everything in context of all of your past stories about who you are. So just pretend you're not. Just pretend you're an alien in the body of Vicky. The world doesn't know, but you know secretly that you're not Vicky. And so every thought that arises is something to be curious about. It's like, oh, what is that? And even things that Vicky knows and loves, you could look at with curiosity. It's like, well, why is this interesting? Why do I feel, why does Vicky feel this way? Why is this showing up in this way? And you just keep exploring things as if you're a stranger in your own world.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm not gonna say my plan and stuff anymore because I already said it. But okay, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go play mahjong now.
Okay. And
Okay,
watch how
bye.
watch how playing mahjong happens.
Right.
Watch how, like that's a really good example because you're going to think that your mind is controlling what happens. Just watch
Mm.
your hands. Watch your hands pick this tile or that tile, right? Your mind has already
Mm.
worked it out before your mind knows it, or your brain has worked it out before it tells your mind. So you
Mm.
can practice watching your hand pick the tile before your mind knows which one to pick. You
Oh my
try
God, wait.
watching that.
Wait, oh my God. Literally, like I've had like
Yes,
when I play chess and when I play mahjong, like there's a feeling of like which tile to pick. But
yes.
sometimes I go against my feeling because my logic is like, okay, no, this one's actually better. I'm not doing that one. But the feeling is with us with a certain one. So do I follow the feeling or do I follow the logic?
Play the feeling and see what happens as an experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great one.
Okay.
Try
That's a
not to do what
brilliant
Vicky would
example.
do.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. Okay, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go now.
Yep, yep.
All right, bye.
Did you notice that you just had another realization?
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah. This is nice. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank
What a
you.
celebration. You're not
Bye.
actually Vicky. Let's celebrate.
I'm an alien. I'm a
An
green
alien
one,
with,
actually.
and you can't even say the alien's name. It's too weird.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like Elon Musk's son's name. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Right.
Bye.
Hi, Maggie.
I remember spontaneously doing that. I remember going into my garage when I was a kid, and for some reason, I don't even know why, I was like, what does this look like if I was a stranger? And I suddenly looked at the garage with new eyes. And maybe it's because I've been reading Autobiography of a Yogi since I was 14, but like it didn't occur to me then just how powerful a practice that alone can be.
Mm, yeah. And we do it as kids, don't we? I do remember, I remember spacing out on the leg of a kitchen table, just couldn't get over how it was made up of atoms, and that was a reflection of the way the galaxy was made, and so on. I zoomed out and in, down and up. Just amazing. Yeah. It's amazing, when that's bloody 70 something years later, that memory turns up. That's amazing. Yeah. Mm. How's things
Is
there in
the so you were
paradise,
talking about
Jackie? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say you were talking about like switching to a different map. Are you obliquely referencing the fetters there? Like when you clear the first fetter, you now have a like the map of I'm a me or I'm a Xander drops, but then there's a new like second, third, fourth fetter map. Is that kind of what you were gesturing at?
I wasn't doing that, although I did have the thought of the fetters as a map, but
Hmm.
wasn't
Hmm.
relating directly to that. Yeah. No, that whatever, what would you call it? That metaphor just turned up in the moment.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, we probably can't go directly from 100% map oriented to terrain oriented. There does seem to be a progression that takes time,
Mm.
It's a habit.
and it does. Yeah, like that does seem like the first delusion of like they're like I'm Xander. Like that is the story that overlays and obscures everything. So it's like one layer of the map. And then that
Yeah,
disappears. And then there's still all these other layers of maps that are still present,
Hmm.
overlaying.
yeah. That first one is the thickest, of course.
Hmm. I mean, we worked so hard to put it in place. Jesus.
Spend our life
That's
doing it.
that's that's why it's so hard
Right. It's
to
like, God,
undo it.
I busted my ass. Like I chose parents. I created the exact like trauma to create this character. And now you want me to not be that anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Hey.
Jackie,
Hello, Ben.
how's life there in paradise?
Um, great. And I think I'm noticing, just noticing. And it's not even conscious noticing. It's just that's what I wanted to talk about because I had I don't know if you call it an experience or a happening or a just noticing. But I've been lately working with end of life people. That's how they term them with in the
Mm.
hospital management.
Palliative care.
Yeah, but when I'm asked if I want to service, it's called EOL, but really it is palliative care. Um, and I found last week when I've been seeing this beautiful couple, he's apparently dying in his body, is what they, you know, is happening with him. Um, and she's the loyal, very supportive wife, really beautiful wife. But the other day, what I've noticed each time I go there, the presence I have when I'm with him, and she's gone out, is just nearly joyful. It's And I was wondering about it, why it feels so lovely. And when I'm with her, I feel sort of probably normal, and we're just chatting, but I can feel a struggle, or I can feel or she says she's tired, and I can feel the tiredness, or I can feel her sense of total despair,
Mhm.
because she wants, the picture to keep on continuing how it was in the past.
So if I
But
say
the
to
other,
you,
but I wanted to,
you know why you feel the way you feel with him, tell us what you think.
well, the thing when I wanted to get to was that when the other day she went out and I did a few things to help, like put the washing out. I have a chat with him, and then I see that he really just needs some time just to really just to chill. And I went out to the veranda, and they've got all these lovely plants. They live near to Byron Bay. And I was starting to water one, just sort of probably like I usually just water a plant. But this time when I was watering it, I just found that the plant, that I wasn't there. I was like, it was the plant was just looking at me and really happy. It was being given water. And then because it just felt like it was in this orbit. There was the guy inside, and he was nearly radiating life, although he's dying. He's got a really happy little doggy, a Moodle, is it Moodle? And the plants are really radiant. Every plant I'm feeding feels like happiness. And the only reason I can feel all this is then I've got the contrast, because when she comes home trying to be all happy and perky, I feel it. And I thought, it really seems like this is it. This is it. It's either struggling to live or not struggling. Just,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd love to be like that all the time. And it's only this self-consciousness of I just got the end of your talk with Vicky about thinking you're somebody. But when I'm with him, like none of us are anything. I just
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like that. I feel like I'm just plopped in a play. Like, and when I'm him, it's
Yeah.
just love. Like nearly I could just. That's all I really want to
Have
do
you
now.
have you have you experienced that you can drop into this place other
Yes.
than when you're with him? Yeah.
Oh yes, yes. But I feel like I've always focused, and this is for a long, long time. I've always dropped into the emotion of everybody. And usually we
Yeah.
don't get that many experiences of people really it's really like pure,
Mm.
like nothing. That's what,
Right.
so
Well,
I'm
what I
really
want to say to
struggling with
you is that
that.
he's triggering that in you. It's not purely as a result of him. It's not the circumstances that's causing you to get into this place. Right? That's just the trigger that's enabling you to do that.
Hmm.
And if you've noticed that there have been other situations where you've also done that, right, you know that it's in you. that this can happen. It's
Yeah.
not purely as a result of the circumstances. And so consequently, you can just allow that much more frequently.
Mm.
And it's very important for you to appreciate, and it'll come with time anyway, that because his wife is so busy being social and how she thinks she should be, etc., that's going to happen around you all the time. And you can, this is a bit of a weird one, you can be engaged with that at a level where you're not actually engaged with it. So you can drop into this place in spite of that going on around you. And you can even
Yeah.
pretend to others that you're in the same place that they're in while you're actually in this place. That can also happen.
Yeah, because I think what I've done in the past so much, it's been like an old conditioning, is that I've been in the place because of the person, please, like being what they want me to be or who they are,
Yes.
instead of just being aware of this. It's like but now it's nearly like that came unexpectedly. You know, there's no plan. Like it's nearly like I'm not trying. It's just happening.
Mm. And you can even
Or
see why it's happening. You can even see that there is this zero pressure to be social.
which is beautiful. That's right.
Yeah. See, that's one of the brilliant things about people that are dying is that they're already beyond social niceties.
Yeah, he's actually, you know, on a very strong pain management regime. Maybe I'm just feeling all his lovely, like he's pretty cruisy. But even when he's in pain, I don't feel his pain. I just feel, really at peace.
Mm.
It's nearly like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it seems
it's
crazy, but you can be in intense pain and still be at peace at the
yeah,
same time. You know, that they
yeah,
don't contradict each other. Yeah.
yeah. I think yeah. And the other thing, like, yeah, so it's just more, um, which I feel like talking about intuition. I feel like it's a real, um, I feel really right about working in that sort of area. It feels
Mm.
really
Oh,
nice.
look, you've got to be
But-
honoured. It is brilliant to work with dying people. Really good stuff. Yeah.
And I wanted to a long time ago, but this is sort of like it just happened, you know, like, but the other thing was what I'm just noticing, and this is why I think I came on a Monday too, because I like Paul's the thought guru that talks, is that I have had a couple of times lately where a thought's gone by, but it's nearly like I see it like not as, it's nearly like I can just see the words visually and they're detached. They're just sort of sitting there. So I'm not thinking, it's just, I can just see the words. I think the last one was something about it, not a problem. And then I just saw it. And I found I felt like it was nearly, I could feel like stickiness coming away.
Mm.
So whatever that is, I like
Yeah.
that because I feel like the thinking has been
Sounds
well,
good.
it is with the
Yeah.
majority of, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just listening to a lot of this too, it's been really
Yeah.
helpful.
Well, let's see what you just said. You know, like I hadn't thought of it in those terms before, but I love it. I love it. That idea that stories get less thick and the stickiness to them changes to the point where they can be there and there's no stickiness at all. It's like Teflon. They just slide off.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. I love that. I love that concept, that way of seeing it. So and it's that stickiness to them, that connection to them, that's the crux of this whole thing. They can be there with no stickiness, and then there is no they're just there, you know. They're almost irrelevant. But if there's stickiness, that's what we're looking at. That's stickiness.
And if that's it too, because even though with the story of the daughter and partner story, what I had to do was even go and, well, I didn't have to do it, but it found like there was still stickiness. There was parts that I really agreed of what this character did, and asked them to move on in an aggressive way. But I also felt this, my daughter understood me really well, but I felt with the partner, there was a real block between us, and I had all the every reason why it should be the way it was, especially like in an esoteric spiritual way. I felt I worked it all out. But I found that even though I found it like that, she was still very, very distant, and I'd let it go. But it was nearly like, again, I had to actually nearly see that she was me. Like I had to feel her, and I felt how painful it was for her that we'd had this, big disagreement.
So what's happening now, Vicky?
And
Why are you telling me this story again?
because it's Jackie, not Vicky, because
Oh,
I'm being
sorry.
Vicky. I'm being Vicky. I'm telling you this because why it came to is that I had to feel her. I felt I had to feel her because I still had to feel there was something about not forgiveness in maybe Jesus Christ sense, but something about just letting go of not hurting anyone, Vince. This is what it was. Even though I didn't feel like I had done anything wrong, I had hurt her. And that's why I'm saying it. I felt it was another bit, because I felt everything else came after this, that I've seen death like this. It was very, I had to get very, it was bigger than a story. I had to get beyond the story and get vulnerable. And it was the
Right.
vulnerability that really showed me. And I felt like I wanted to share that because it showed me this. And it was beyond the character thinking. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm having the idea now that some disconnection to the story happened.
Yes. Yeah.
So it got a little less sticky.
Yeah, it was only like, yeah. The story in a way is still there because I think she'll always remember that story. And it is as it is, and you can't change that story. But I felt like the vulnerability that was tapped into, that again was unexpected, but sitting there like waiting to be shaken up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some people can be vulnerable very easily, and I think others, like myself, there's a lot more armor, and I think that's part of the whole undoing. Like you can wake up or be aware of all that, but it's sort of like this other part too. For me, yeah, it felt like
it doesn't need to be explained. That's the
yeah.
trick, you know. So yeah, the mind says, oh, if I can explain it, I can store it away for use again in future. But you don't actually need to. It will, if it's appropriate, it'll pop up.
And I think with that story, I feel I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to reach out to her and show her my vulnerability or her vulnerability, or apologize to her if she was hurting, which she was. But I think there's also this part in me sort of like felt that this person that I apologized to, I really felt that it wasn't, I may have had all the right reasons why I wanted them out, but the thing is, there's this character. It was still a part that why I did it was a form of control. And it's just a bit yucky. So I can't really get what, I don't know what I'm really saying there, but so it's just a bit yuck. It's just
Yeah, and that's the crux, isn't it? That's really good
yeah.
that you can go, I don't know really what's going on, but I know it felt a bit yucky.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I love that, because that's you not getting lost in the story about it.
Yeah.
You know, you're describing your experience.
It was like that character. This character, it was, that part was yucky of her. Of that there's a part
Yeah. Now,
that
so
she
you can
said that
even what you
part
said about control. So you know there is. See, control's not just control. It gets much more complicated than that, much more complex, right? So there, let's say a boundary was set, and the boundary said, "Well, you have to go, right? I don't want you inside. This. I've extended my boundary out a lot further than I would normally, right?
Yeah.
But that just happened, right? It happened because that's for a million reasons that we could try and put a narrative around, but we don't need to. Right? So what happened is just what happened, and we don't even need
I
to.
think it was the guilt.
You think what?
I think it was the character's guilt. I think I wanted to get. I felt it was the guilt that I could never get. I felt that this is it in the character. There was the guilt that I always felt that my daughter should be more annoyed with me in some part of her life, all her life, and she never was. And so I had to, this is all unconscious, but it came through the partner who's got a lot more boundaries and a whole different way of life. And I feel like it was nearly set up. It was beyond me again, out of my, I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, but it was like,
Yeah, I do get
out of
that.
my
Yeah, yeah.
I was brought to that brink. The character was, and it's,
So
and
that whole thing is perfect. That's exactly it. None of it was intentional, because there is, that's just another thought, that we call intent. But nevertheless, what actually happened is what actually happened, and it's done and finished. So what's the point of, where's the value in being able to put a coherent story around it? Forget it.
yeah,
It's done. Well, you're never going to know the actual reasons, because, as you say, a whole lot of them were unconscious.
yeah.
And so what you've got here, though, is this really, really beautiful, juicy experience that's no doubt, in my mind at least, it's changed you, that experience. You've grown out of it. You've
Totally.
learned out of it. You've
I feel I've
recognised
grown
yourself out
out
of
of
it.
it.
Yes.
I've grown out of it. Yeah,
Mm.
as in grown out of that
Yep.
that thing,
Yep.
that character.
Yeah. So you're
And
not gonna know about any remnants of that character
no,
until circumstances provide that the opportunity for that to reappear, and it may or
yeah,
may not. You don't know that,
yeah,
so you might as well wait until it happens.
yeah,
Don't even think about it now. Just wait until it happens. If it ever does again, maybe it won't.
yeah.
You never know. But you can get really busy now trying to put a coherent narrative to the past. But I mean, while
Oh,
you're
that's
doing that,
right. That's
you
right.
you don't notice the pressure in your
That's
feet. You're not
yeah.
noticing the beautiful
That
surroundings.
little tomatoes
Yeah,
growing next to us.
great, great.
Yeah,
This time of year, that's excellent.
yeah.
And they're the tastiest, aren't they? Oh, I can almost taste the tomato now,
Oh,
one of
they're
those
really
little
great.
cherry tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's now. Yeah, that's what it's just the noticing now. It,
Mm,
and when you were talking to Vicky about it, you guys, the thing is, I was saying in my mind, I've never had the patience just to notice. That's why when I was with in the palliative care situation, I wasn't trying to notice. Notice
mm,
just did it. And that's
mm.
what I felt really appreciative of.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, because I try to, and I do, like I can feel my feet and I can feel the
yeah.
squishy stuff coming out of the tomatoes and the different
And
hues of the
here's
bird.
another one for you, Vicky. You were able to describe how you felt with that man, that amazing sense of peace and connection to. And as you described it, to a degree, without doubt, in my mind, you were re-experiencing some of that, if not all of that, again, just to describe it. So what I'm suggesting is that when you finish talking here, that you sit and remember what it felt like when you were out on the veranda at his place and you were just, there was no separation between you and the world, that you were the same thing. Remember that and re-experience it right there where you are sitting now. That's possible. You can bring that on by simply remembering what it felt like. Don't remember the circumstances. Don't get lost in a story describing it. Just go straight to what it felt like, and you'll bring it back on. And the more you do that,
I think
the
it's
more skillful you get at being able to get in touch with that.
like it's presence, isn't it?
Mm,
And what I wanted to say to Vicky, because you keep on thinking I'm Vicky today, is that Vicky, if you watch this, or which she's not, she's playing something else now, is that I just wanted to say to Vicky that really, if you can just start to do this, otherwise you'll do what I did for the next 40 years. Like I see what she's doing, is she's going off on all her beautiful experiences and stories, and you go nowhere. And I think it wasn't by chance that I've just come after Vicky, like, yeah, the presence is yeah, just so beautiful.
mm, it is.
You can get all these little awarenesses forever, but as you it's really this is it. It's just um the now, like
Mm.
I've got a little
It's
pet name.
awe-inspiring. Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, Vince. I just wanted to join with you. Thank you. I think you're, yeah, you're a lovely present.
So are you. Thank you. So is everybody.
Yeah,
Even
and
the
all your,
presence of not presence. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Christine, I am interested in your recent experiences.
Hi there.
Hi.
Recent experiences. Hmm. Um, I feel like there's been more breadcrumbs. Um, yeah, the past week or so, there's been more of seeing just sorry, I'm like having a hard time communicating.
Yeah, don't
Um,
worry about it. Yeah, that's fine.
just seeing thoughts more clearly that that's not me. And yeah, this morning I was in meditation and sort of it just felt a little more spacious. But then my mind gets engaged and I just think, well, that's just like doesn't mean anything, doesn't, you know. And yeah, just the sort of the concept of that, all of this is still thoughts, is still thinking, and yet something can't seem to turn it off. I I don't know if I've seen you since I got laid off my job, but I was in this crazy work situation. I moved across the country for about 6 months ago, and just this completely chaotic environment, and the company just basically kind of collapsed. Um, it's a long story, but anyway, so I lost the job I had, and so I've been had more time just to like be still, do nothing. And I'm really trying to not fill that space in. The mind is freaking out. Like, we got to figure this out. We got to get another job. We got to, like, get the plan together. And yet there's something that's just calling me to just wait
Mm, mm,
and trust, that it'll
mm.
work out all right. But and I've had a couple other kind of a friend with a major health thing and stuff with my son, and I'm just I feel really what it feels like is like the hits just keep coming, and
Mm, mm.
I'm really tired of that, and yet
Yeah,
there's nothing else to do but just to keep going.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
noticed. I noticed that you mentioned that, and it's almost lost that you mentioned that things had been a little better, and then you went on to tell me how they weren't better,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
things were better. Got about 1.5 seconds, and the rest of it got 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So what I'm pointing out,
Yeah.
not to say don't do that, because that's not something we control, right? What I'm pointing out is, did you notice that? Did you notice that you gave very little import, very little weight to the improvement, the good stuff that's happened, and you gave a lot of weight to what's not happened, to the negative stuff? Did you notice that?
Um, I think really what it is that there's been a lot of negative things that have happened, and something is trying to pull the good out of that.
Mm,
And so, yeah, I mean, it feels objective. Of course it isn't, nothing is, but it's really bad to lose my job, you know, like I don't
Sure.
have
Eh?
a, you know, a big financial buffer. I mean, it's been a really rocky road the past few years. And
Okay,
anyway,
so
like I don't
tell me
want to.
this. Tell me this. What can you think of any story that you could come up with now that's going to change the fact that you haven't got your job?
No.
No. No story is going to make it better or make it worse. Oh, wait a minute. There are stories that can make it worse, aren't they? Yeah.
Hmm.
They don't change the fact about your job, but they change the way you
Yeah.
feel about those stories. And there were some stories there about how the fact that you're not a bit better, they could have an effect, but you're not going to let them have an effect. Let's go and dwell on how bad it is.
I'm not dwelling on how bad it is. I'm doing my best to, yeah, to really look for, like I said, the positive things. And
Yeah. So what I'm now again, okay, so this is a critical point. You think if you've got control that you could change the thing where you think better things and less
Mhm.
bad things.
Yeah,
Well, that's a delusion. You don't have that kind of control. You don't know what your next thought's going to be about, do you?
no,
And you can, and what I was pointing out before is that you can actually notice that your inclination, right, you can call it part of your personality, has been conditioned to the point where negative ones have a lot more weight than positive ones. That's just
yeah,
that's your nature, right? Now, because that's been learned, it can be unlearned. But you're not going to do it with willpower. Because willpower, if you had willpower, you'd already be doing that, wouldn't you? In fact,
yeah,
if you had willpower, why would you ever think of a story that's going to feel bad? You wouldn't even bother. You'd keep away from them. But we can't control that stuff. It comes or it doesn't. But recognizing it when it does come, that it's come, rather than being lost in it, changes it. And so it's
okay,
not a case of pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do it differently, because that's a delusion. It's a case of recognizing what is, recognizing what's here without judgment. Now, there's the trick. How do we do it without judgment? How do we recognize that a bad story has turned up that's making us feel worse and not judge it?
yeah. I mean, I
Or,
think just recognizing that, like, I didn't create that. And the funny thing is that I don't. Before this kind of period of my life, I used to be a really positive person. Um, I used to really, because I felt like I had control. I felt like I had the power to change things. So I would, you know, go through life thinking like, okay, well, I can change this. The next thing is going to be better, you know. So there was just this constant next, 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 you know. But it
yeah,
felt
yeah, yeah.
true that, yeah, felt true that I could had some agency over that. And I think recognizing, you know, that that's not true and things just happen. And so it's just altered my life view, um,
Mm,
or whatever, the mind's view.
yeah,
And so there's this gap of like the old way doesn't work, or you know, and and some the illusion of the old way isn't here, and yet so it's just this
yeah,
like, yeah,
right.
kind of no man's land. Um,
Mm.
but I
So can
think
you
you're
see
right.
that?
Like it's just what I'm saying.
Can you notice that being positive the way you described you were is exactly the same as being negative, in the sense that it carries with it the belief that this controls outcomes.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm. So the fact
Yeah,
that
that's
you
interesting.
now feel a bit helpless, it's
Hmm.
brilliant. Great. I love it. It puts you in a situation where you can start to notice what is actual and then notice your judgment about it. And this is what the opportunity is for you at the moment, to notice your judgment, not to change it, not to stop judging it this way or that way, but rather to notice when you judge it. Just that.
Okay.
And you can't notice it without it changing, but you can't notice it for the purpose of changing it. That
Right.
doesn't work. Yeah.
It's not
It's,
fair. That's
it's,
bullshit.
it's tricky. Yeah.
I know. Okay.
And what will happen? So I call it serendipity, but it's a big part of my life, a huge part of my life. You know, I don't. It's really what that's about, is being relaxed enough to notice more possibilities. That's
Hmm.
all. It
Hmm.
sounds magical to say serendipity, but the reality is it's just a case of having a soft focus and noticing a bigger picture. I also
Yeah.
call that wisdom that comes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
And when
think
you,
again, like I sort of used to see that, like I used to see that there was like, yeah, there were so many possibilities, and then it just, I don't know, something snapped, and this focus just narrowed into fear, and
yes, and you said it. You
yeah,
notice
it's
it
really,
narrowed. That's right. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And how good is that? I know
Mhm.
that's controversial to say. How great is it that you've now noticed that you're noticing how narrow the
Yeah.
focus is in this state of fear, right? And that
Mhm.
is what will change it, the noticing, not the intent to
Right.
change it,
Right.
just the noticing, yeah?
Okay.
And then and you can just imagine, have a fantasy with me that at some point in the future, the mythical future, you'll look back at this and you'll go, you know what? This was meant to happen. This is the best thing that could have happened to me, because I got out of that shitty job and I found one that's much nicer,
Hmm.
or something, some version of
Yeah.
that.
No, totally. Yeah, I believe that's true. I really do. I mean, I don't. I believe everything happens just the way it's supposed to, but there is definitely that, fear of, yeah, just fear.
Yeah. And that's juice. That fear is
Hmm.
juice for you. It's telling you something, and it will stay until you go, I hear you, fear. I hear what you're trying
Yeah.
to tell me, and then it won't be required anymore.
Yeah.
So those noticings that you briefly touched on when you first started the talk, if you were to notice more that you notice them, that you would expand them,
Mhm.
that would happen.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it
Okay.
sounds like a doing, but it's just the way it will happen.
Hmm.
More emphasis on the tiniest little good things encourages them to hang around and grow.
Okay.
The way I sometimes describe this is like watching grass grow. You can't see it moving, you can't see it growing, but you know it's growing if you remember what it was like a week ago and look at it now. And so it's the same kind of thing with your, whatever you want to call it, your grass growing, where you notice those little things and they add up over time. I love the concept that turned up here recently for me of brownie points. You know, we're just picking up brownie points. They're little ones, and when we get enough, we get a badge, and that badge is a shift. You know, and and then things become unconscious because of the shift. Yeah.
Great.
And those good things were definitely brownie points.
Yeah, no, I feel that way. It's just it's just a weird time. It's weird that there's just like so many exterior things just feel like they're still exploding, and then, but
Yeah.
it's just,
And if you get away, or if you get underneath the stories about them, they can be really wonderful feelings in those little explosions that happen. You know, they might, when they provoke a story that's terrible, you know, that becomes that then produces the next experience. But before that, when they happened, they can be quite revealing, and you know, in the midst of pain, can be some wonderful feelings.
I'll take your word for that for now.
Well, the only thing I don't want you to believe me. I want you to, for that to be a possibility for you to experience something when opportunity offers itself. So if you do take my word as a temporary thing and just leave it sit there on the shelf, so to speak, until it becomes relevant to activate it, or whatever the word falls off and describes an experience that you're having anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't normally call on people that have their camera turned off, but I was concerned, and I did want an update
Thank
from
you.
you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. I gotta go grab my charger. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So Vince, will next week's meeting, this meeting, be at the regularly scheduled time or an hour earlier for everybody?
Yes. So next week will be the 1st of September. Yeah, so it'll be an hour earlier.
Okay, because I was asking, it'll just be the 31st here. So,
Yeah. Okay. But I'll use a different link because it's for paid people. So if you're not on that list, let me know and I'll send you the link.
Okay, I've been getting your stuff, so yeah, I get it. I'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
I mean, I'm not meaning, I don't want
to.
to exclude anybody, whether, you know, even if they're not a paid subscriber. So, but I kind of try that one and go down that road for a bit, but yeah.
So this is one of the meetings that are moving to paid only. Yeah,
Yeah,
effectively,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the Monday morning, my Monday morning, this one from next week onwards. Well, we'll try it anyway. So far, I've got, I think, about 5 people on the list, and one of those is in Western Australia, which kind of bugger. It means that it's 4 a.m. for her, so that's probably not going to happen. But yet, the others are in time zones that mean that if I make it okay for the Western Australian, it's not okay for them. So it's bloody hard, isn't it? You know. But we'll see what happens when I get a bit closer. I will send out another notification about it to everybody.
You have like 4 different meetings throughout the week at different time zones. Certainly some of them will work.
Yeah. Well, that was the idea, to have it too. And I was having 3, and then the 4th one I fell into, and then 4's. I'm starting to think it's too much, but we'll see. Yeah. I've had thoughts about not doing this, but I kind of can't. If I could find someone who would take over, that would be better than me just not doing it. You know, I don't want to abandon people, and there seems to be a constant flow of good things happening. So I'd like to see it continue, but you know, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Any update on Marius's group?
Well, I get whether you'd call it an update or not. I was speaking to him recently, a couple of days ago, and I got the impression from an offhanded comment that nothing's happened yet. He still hasn't decided on when and where. Yeah.
It's kind of the impression I have. I joined his vault, and I've been looking forward to hearing when he's going to pick a time. And
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on for him. That's a bit dynamic at that point. But I must say, part of what we're kind of drifting apart a bit in our way of looking at this, and yet he's influenced me quite a bit in the way I see things. And this Monday morning, starting next week, I'm intending it to be a bit more the way he sees things than the way I've been doing things. So I'll be a bit more aggressive, and I'll stay with one person until they either start crying and leave or wake up. We'll see.
wow. And that's just an hour earlier, like you say Monday, but it's this an hour earlier this time.
Yeah, this meeting, but an hour earlier. Yeah. I couldn't bring myself to make it a 5th meeting, you know. So I thought, well, and that's the time that suits most people. So yeah, we'll try that. Hey Ray, I was good to see you.
Good to see you too. I was just kind of passively listening, but I figured I'd check in and I don't know. That I'd just check in.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you did. Otherwise, I would be going off for breakfast. So.
Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you from your breakfast.
No. Breakfast will happen when breakfast happens. No, I was just saying, if you didn't turn up, I would have been thinking about closing down. You know, so the fact that you're here is an opportunity. So go tell us how you've been.
Yeah. Well, I was also going to say, you saying that you were thinking about not doing this was, I don't know, that also kind of sparked something for me where I was like, well, I just hope you feel appreciated, because I don't know. I'd be sad to see you go.
Yeah, I'd be sad to see me go too, I think, for a moment at least.
Yeah. Well, as far as how things are going for me, I guess, just to, move in that direction. I don't know. Lately, it's really been kind of an interesting exploration where I'm staying with the sensations of the body and then kind of recognizing when I get lost in stories and then trying to pull myself, you know, paying attention to the sensations again, and that's kind of been the main sort of the main thing I feel like I'm doing. And sometimes it's really difficult, um, and the levels of success vary widely. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
that
Mhm.
there's an important point there, I think, and that is that you're missing. Well, I'm this is just a story that turns up here, that you're missing the opportunity to recognize that when you see that you're lost in a story, that's all it takes to change it. That you're jumping over that point, and
Mhm.
and another story is turning up that says, "Don't do this."
Yeah.
And if you're successful or not, you're responding to that. When in fact, what I want to point out to you is that the simple becoming aware of the fact that you were lost in a story means you're already out of the story. You can't be lost in it and be aware that you're lost in it at the same time. Well, you kind of can, but being aware that you're lost in the story is enough to bring you out of the story. Well, even that's not true. No, being aware that you're lost in the story means you're already out of the story to some extent.
Right. I mean, I think I'm paying attention to the sensations at that point almost because I basically, I don't know, I feel like I have to pay attention to something, Once I'm
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
the
yeah,
story, then it's like, okay, well, I think a thought comes in. It's like, well, what do I do now? Which is
yep,
still, and to be able to have like an easy answer to that, where it's like, let's go to the
yep, yeah.
sensations. That's
Right,
kind of
okay.
how things
And
are.
that's still partly because we I had this image of slippery dips stories that are slides, and that you slide from that. Well, what do I do now?
Right.
Right, and that rests on the delusion that you can do or not do, and that doing is the way things happen, and that's another delusion.
Hmm.
Right, so the reality of what would happen, and the reality is just your current experiencing, is that you recognize you're lost in story. That recognition is enough to shift your focus. And then you go, well, whoa, where am I going to focus? Oh, body turns up. There's not much else that you can do. You could focus on some object in front of you, but no, you focus on the body because that's what you've learned to do so far. Right? Focus on the
Yeah.
body. Now, if you're lost in story, and then a thought turns up that says, not anything about the story, but what about the body? Right? Then you focus on the body, you'll automatically be no longer lost in story. But recognizing, and here's the trick, this is a tiny little thread that's so important and so significant. If you recognize that where your attention goes, your focus and the activity that comes out of that happens automatically. It doesn't happen because of a thought that you create, that you created. You didn't, because you didn't create the thought. It just turned up. But what this thin thread is that we're looking to break here is that thoughts cause action. Thoughts don't cause anything. Yet we respond to thoughts. But can you see how responding to a thought isn't the same as the thought causing a response? What's the
No, that one's a
difference?
little bit.
It's a bit, yeah, okay, there's a subtle thing there, yeah.
Hmm.
One's a pull and one's a push kind of thing. So if you say a thought happens
Oh, I see
and
what you're saying. Yeah.
yes,
I think where it's like it's almost the question of what's in control.
yes,
I
yeah,
mean, which is a crazy thing to say, I guess, given everything we've talked about. But it's just like we almost have an optionality or a freedom whether or not to respond to the thought, but the thought can never actually create something that compels
that's right.
us to do
Yes,
something. Yeah,
perfect.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have that power.
beautiful. Yep, yeah.
Mhm.
And yet we give it that power under the old way of doing things.
Right. When we respond to it, we attribute the power to the thought.
Yes, and it's that attribution that's the mistake. They happen in concert, they happen in parallel, but they're not connected. But we give it that attribute of connection,
Yeah.
which is a whole other story that we don't even know about, that connects the two together. So when we see that they're not actually connected, that thoughts don't cause things to happen, right? That we've spoken about thoughts turning up after the brain's decided, and the brain's decided because of the fact that it mechanistically goes through all of the current circumstances and then pulls in all of the history, all of what it's learned about those circumstances. And then out of that, it's like this computer comes up with a solution, right? And then it notifies the mind of what that solution is. And the mind says, good, I did that, when it didn't. You see, we can't, the mind claims attribution when in fact there's no connection at all. It's just another function. I mean, sometimes the brain doesn't even notify the mind. When you're doing up your shirt buttons or you're tying your shoelaces, you know, your brain doesn't even bother to notify the mind. It just does it. So that key point that you said it, that attribution, that's a really, 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 really big, high value key point to notice.
Okay. So here's a part that I guess I just got tripped up on, which was that when I was describing it and kind of the way I understood it is that in a sense we almost have the option whether or not we want to respond to the thought. I just don't really have a different way of expressing that. But
Yeah,
I'm
I get it.
creating
Yeah.
like a sense of self that can choose not to do that. And that rubs up against, the concept of non-doership, which I'm feeling like is maybe a little bit further down the road, uh not something to worry about now, I guess. Or
Well,
but in a
you're
sense I'm
dealing
also
with it.
creating a self. The what?
Yeah, you're dealing with it right now. You know, that when you, as soon as you see the fragility of that attribution story, right, you remove the foundation for doership. There can be no doership if there's no doer.
That's right. Okay. Because the thought has no ability to impact what
Right.
happens.
Exactly. Thoughts can't think
Right.
and they have no control, but yet we respond to them.
And thoughts are where the doer lives. I mean, the
Absolutely.
doer
Yes.
is
Yes.
essentially a thought.
Perfect. Yep.
Mm.
Now,
I think I
now.
understand the problem. Because Vince, you said the solution is already decided before the thought. So the thought is only a description.
Yes.
And I have to do what thought tells me because it has been already decided.
Yep.
Not by thoughts, but
Yes.
it was.
But if you see that, it's that added story of attribution that becomes the critical point. Right. So when the brain decides something and then it notifies the thoughts and the thought turns up, doing what the thought says is perfectly fine. But it's not because the thought said it, it's because the brain decided it that you're doing it. And the thought said it is just an extra. So it appears that you're doing what the thought said, but you're not. You're actually doing what the brain said. And that's possibly why it's so sneaky, why we end up thinking that thoughts run the show. Because we can't actually experience what the brain said. That's just something that comes from neuroscience. So we only know that as secondhand knowledge. We can't experience that, but we do experience our thought. But that
Okay.
attribution, big point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I think the issue that I may be having at the moment is now I'm identifying with the entity or whatever who is having this discussion and sort of wrestling with the idea of, well, I don't know. I'm just identified as something right now, you know,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
somebody who's looking at this.
Okay, and that's fine. I don't see any problem with that.
Okay.
And it's
Uh,
fine because you're describing things from that perspective when you say you're identifying. So you're not identifying in the nature of that sticky
I see. Yeah.
ownership thing. You're just
Right.
describing something from an almost objective perspective.
Right. Nobody's doing that. That's just what's happening right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
nobody's fault.
You're identifying
Okay.
as the narrator of what is happening. You're hearing me as the narrator. The speaker is not hearing me. The brain, the ears, and the brain is processing everything and deciding. All that neurons firing. That's where the decisions are made, and then it's sent out, and it says, "Oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that." The decision is made. The narrator, when you say I'm going to do that, that's the narrator of experience. You're identifying as that narrator, but that's not what you are. The narrator, it doesn't know anything, doesn't do anything. It just talks.
Hmm.
When you touch something hot on your stove, you pull your hand away and then you say, "Oh, that's hot." You don't say, "Oh, that's hot," and then pull your hand away. You'd be burnt. You just do. The doer does. The narrator tells.
Hmm.
What you are is basically unknowable. You're not the narrator. When the light turns green, you go. Do you say, "Okay, the light turns green, now I have to go"? No, you just go. You react. and then you talk about it. But the
Yeah.
reaction is what you are, the process, life. The narrator just talks about it.
Okay. So the situation I find myself in most often is, kind of invasive thoughts coming in. So not so much me being at the, at the light and thinking about what I'm going to do next, but it's just like the thoughts that come in and I don't know, cause some kind of suffering. And I guess the way I had been framing it just, maybe 10 minutes ago was that, there's a me who can be aware of the thoughts and aware of what's happening and choose not to listen to the thoughts and instead focus on what's happening, which I recognize, there's a lot of duality, identification, and what have, and endurership in that. Um,
You are that noticing. Stop. You are simply that which is you are simply that which is noticing the thoughts, or noticing that the thought that you don't want to get caught up in the thoughts, which is more thoughts. You are simply the noticing that thoughts are coming and going about experience. You are not the thoughts.
mhm.
This might be a little sideway. I don't know, the side track, but the possibility is what occurs to me is that can you grok that the noticing is a brain function, and that the mind aspect of that is noticing the noticing. Right? It's like it's a metacognition aspect of
Yeah.
that. But so what I'm saying is, though, if you can see that the noticing is a brain function, right, then you can identify as the noticer, you can identify as the body, but you're not identifying as it because you know there's no I in there running the show. It's just a mechanistic, computer-like apparition that we call the body and the brain. And the behavior that comes out of that is just a mechanistic kind of output. It's it's the printer end of the computer chain, and the narrator is the mind is the actual what gets printed on the paper. They're just bits of blobs of ink that mean something when somebody reads it and puts a meaning to it. But that's all irrelevant for you. You can be temporarily happy that you can identify as an organism and not as a mental thing. It's a staging post. It's not a final resting place, but it is a break with the identification that was there with the mind. And breaking
Right.
that is such a big thing. Once that's done, this next one is easy. When the time comes to break that, that's no problem.
Right.
But for the moment, you can identify as the body, right? And when we say that, we're not saying, therefore, there is an I in the body. There isn't. It's a mechanistic
Right. Yeah.
process that goes on. Yeah.
I get that. Yeah. I think something that trips me up is that I'm trying to, I'm paying attention to like illusions or issues that are further down the road. And I really just need to kind of focus on the one ahead of me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In a way.
Make that automatic. That's the thing. Yes.
Right. Because I have the sense that, yeah, that's kind of the thing that keeps, that I keep running up against. And I
Mm.
kind of need to tackle that before I look too far down the road. Um,
Yeah.
Notice
so
all
yeah,
those thoughts about running up against something and tackling something down the road.
yeah,
Notice all of those thoughts coming and going.
Yeah.
Are you those thoughts?
No.
So there's just a noticing of them, isn't there? They come and go
They're just
like
a
the wind.
habitual mechanistic output.
Yeah. And that happens
Like,
after the fact. It's a commentary
yeah,
on what's
Mm.
already
yes,
happened. Okay.
yes.
Or it's a total fantasy
What's going to
about,
happen?
yeah.
What's going to happen down the road? That is something that went on quietly, and then it went to the narrator to be announced.
Hmm.
You're communicating. The narrator communicates. It doesn't think.
Right.
The noticing of the narrator or the noticing of the thought train, because the noticing is always before the thought.
Okay. And so what's kind of painful for me is identifying with the thoughts, like a lot of the time, probably most of the time.
Right. That's
And,
suffering.
and right. And I can, in this moment, like talking with you guys right now, I can sort of identify as something different. I can identify as the body or the awareness of kind of what's happening, and thoughts like that. I'm something like one step back. And I think there's a lot of frustration for me in that, I really don't want to be going back and forth the way that I am. But kind of as we're talking about this, it's understanding that there's nobody in control of that. Like that's just going to happen how it happens.
Yep.
And even though it's very painful, or there's the sensation that it's deeply painful for me to be stuck in the thoughts, especially when I know
Notice
that there's a way out.
notice
Oh,
the
sorry,
thought
go ahead.
that you're one step back. That's another
Yeah,
thought. You get
right.
before that. Before the thought, I'm on a step one back. Before the thought, I want to step one step back. That's just another thought. It's already after the fact. What's before that thought? I want to step one step back. What comes before it?
Okay. So that's something that's impossible to identify with, and or for me right now feels impossible. But as an entity that still has like a strong attachment to identifying with things, the only thing I can identify with is the thoughts. Is that
Are you
yeah.
are you your thoughts? Are you your thoughts?
No.
Okay, what are you?
The only thing that I can say that I am right now, I to identify with is kind of the body or awareness of the thoughts. Like I don't think I can identify as anything primary to that.
Okay, well, that's better than identifying as the thoughts, but still you're identifying as I am awareness, which is another thought.
Right. I'm
What comes
identifying with
before
the
that?
mhm.
What comes before the thought comes up? What is not there before the thought comes up? Isn't it just silence?
Yeah, it's an absence of thought.
Okay, now you're getting somewhere. What are you?
I don't know. I can't
Perfect
Good
answer.
answer. Good
Absolutely.
answer.
Yep.
Oh man.
It's a trick question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not just a frivolous answer. It's actually you will spend the rest of your life and you'll never come up with knowing something. But you'll get very relaxed about not knowing. You can't
Well,
know what you are. It's like knowing anything of the absolute. You know, what you are belongs in the absolute, and we don't have the faculty. Our senses are not the right senses to know what the absolute is. We can only know our experience,
hmm.
and that's an interpretation. So we really don't know anything, do we?
Hmm.
We can only think we know, and that's the doorway to suffering.
Hmm. I guess kind of my first reaction to all of that was like, this is something that I think I can, touch into a little bit every now and then. But I guess like what there's just this feeling of like, but there's still, suffering. There's still quite a like my suffering is not lessened. And that one's kind of a strong one that comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right. And okay, that's very relevant, isn't it? Your suffering is not going to be lessened by anything you do.
Mm.
Suffering is going to transmute into something else when you see it from a more appropriate perspective. That's a shitty way to put it, but you know, it's the conditions of your suffering aren't going to change. Your attitude towards it will change when you see things more as they are. Rather, all of your suffering comes from the stories about those conditions, not from the conditions themselves.
Right.
Look at the thought, I am suffering. Can you see that thought in front of you? Can you visualize it? Look at it like it's written on a board somewhere. Can you see the thought, I am suffering?
Yeah, if I visualize it, I can have some
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
thought representation. Yeah.
Is that you?
No.
Does that thought know anything?
No.
Does that thought know your past?
Mm, no.
Can it imagine your future?
No, it can't do anything. It's just
Right,
thought letters.
right.
Hmm.
Just had the thought, it seems crazy to identify with a bit of chalk on the board. I am that chalk.
Hmm.
There can be a big puzzle as to how did we ever believe we were our thoughts? Well, it only happens because we don't know it happens. As soon as we know it's happening, it just can't hold water. It's ridiculous. How can you possibly be your thoughts?
You that is hearing my voice can think. The narrator cannot think. No thought can think.
Okay.
That's just
But so,
talking.
yeah. So I think I'm able to identify as the thinker, but we're saying that the identification itself is the thought. That's like the first thought.
Yes. When you say I
Okay.
am anything, you're identifying.
Right.
Thinking is happening. You're just putting a label on it, owning it. But it's just
Right.
happening. There's no owner.
The identification is, there's more to it than just the thought. But the thought probably leads it. But there is also a feeling of ownership, a feeling of connection. That's
Yeah, that strong feeling is what makes it a belief.
mm,
But the strong feeling doesn't prove anything.
and that's a big one. We do tend to think that if we feel something about a thought, that one validates the other. And again, they're just two separate things.
Does that relate at all to the initial practice I was describing of like going into the sensations, or is that just a completely different, unrelated thing that we're talking about now? Or
Do you notice a sensation? Do you notice the sensation of pressure in your butt?
yeah,
Do you feel your butt right now? You feel pressure?
uh, yeah,
You're noticing pressure, right?
mm-hmm.
All right. That's no different than noticing thoughts. It's just you're not noticing thoughts while you're noticing your pressure. Simply where the attention is. Exercise, just noticing sensation in the body, just get you out of your head, so to speak, figuratively speaking. It's the
Okay.
noticing that's important.
Well, something that occurred here was when you notice the pressure in your butt, are you that pressure? Are you your butt? Are you the chair that you're sitting on? It's really obvious that you're none of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see that the noticing of that is the same as the noticing of a thought, it's just as ludicrous to say, I am my thoughts, as it is to say, I am the pressure in my butt.
There's a strong sense that I am something, though. Even if
Okay, yeah.
I
Well,
recognize that as a thought as well, but it's like there's
yeah,
existence,
yes,
like, and I identify with that somehow,
right.
the
Okay,
noticing of it.
but just flip back to what I said a moment ago.
Mm.
I won't dispute with you that you are something, but I
Mm.
have no idea what that something is. It belongs in the realm of the absolute, and I don't have the physical capability to see that as it is. I only have the physical capability to take things in through 5 senses and then the 6th sense of mind. They're all I have. And that none of those are capable, either in isolation or together, they're not capable of me seeing what the absolute is, what is actually there. They only give me the ability to experience an interpretation. And that interpretation is flavored by my perception of things, which I've learned, which has been a lifetime of history. And I've learned from what I've been told, from what I've experienced, I've learned to see things in that way. That's my perception, my perspective. And out of that, I have an interpretation. Now, I recognise that that interpretation is my interpretation. It's got to do with me, what I've brought to the table. But it's not the absolute. I have no idea what the absolute is. So use that other story that I come up with frequently. You're standing there looking at a tree, and next to you is another person and a dog and a cat and a cricket and a frog, right? All of these different life forms, and they're all looking at the tree, and every one of them is having a unique experience of that tree, right? And the real classic one is that the insect is seeing it in the ultraviolet spectrum. You're seeing it in however many colours people use. The dog's seeing it in less colours. The cat's seeing it the way a cat sees it. The frog's only seeing movement, you know, and perhaps wondering if there's something to eat in that. But which one is right? All right, if we've got 5 different interpretations of that tree, which one is right? Which one is the actual tree? We've all just got.
None of them are the actual tree.
That's right. We've only got our interpretation of them according to our sensory input. Right. So what it actually is unknowable for us. We don't have the facility to know what it actually is. Just as we don't have the facility to know what you actually are. We only have an interpretation. And I can dumb that interpretation down to under a label called Ray. But that doesn't really describe anything about you, does it? It's just a name, just a label.
Yeah.
And so we can approach it and we can get more intimate with it and go, well, you know, he's got black hair and he's this high and he's, you know, does this for a living and all of these things. But none of them touch what you actually are, do they? They're just they're just characteristics, if anything, and even their interpretations. So it's a mystery what you actually are. Identify with the mystery. That's there you go. Do that one. I am a mystery.
I don't know how to identify. I don't know how to identify as the mystery. I mean, that really is, you know, that's kind of the issue. Is like I have such a strong habit and a pull to identify with something, and it's for the longest time it's been thought, and now it's, you know,
Yeah.
like
So
yeah.
I was just going to say the juice is for you that strong pull to identify. Be with that, right? It doesn't have to be right or wrong. It's just a strong pull. There is a want to know something, or, you know, the more you think about it, the more detailed you get, the trickier it gets to be clear. What is it? What is that strong pull about? There's that strong pull of wanting something to identify, to know, right? It's that desire, that, and now it gets down to a feeling level for me, you know, that it comes out of, I've instinctively put my hand on my sternum here. It seems like that's where that wanting experiences a sensation. Wanting, nothing wrong with it. It's just what it is. It's just there. Maybe you know, once we get in touch with that, we can see that that's keeping us from feeling something that we don't want to feel, like being lost or unidentified, or feeling like we're nothing when in fact we're everything. Or who knows, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing right or wrong about it. It just is what it is. And that's
Okay. Well,
wanting to belong.
think that's what's causing the suffering, though, like this identification.
Yeah.
And therefore, like I want to figure out how to stop doing it, but in that way, it's like the narrator is trying to make the narrator disappear.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't,
And
but like, that's the most painful thing, though. You can't do it. But that's,
that's right. Yeah. So that's that. There's that feeling of feeling helpless that you don't want to get near.
The suffering comes from believing the narrator when he says self-critical things. You believe the narrator to know something. If the narrator says, "Oh, I'm unhappy," the belief that that narrator actually knows something about you, that thought, "I am unhappy," the belief that that thought actually knows anything. It doesn't know your past. The thought, "I am unhappy," doesn't know your past, can't imagine your future. It doesn't know your condition. But you believe it and you feel unhappiness. If you saw it as just a thought, like I am I am awake. There's no feeling associated with that. But I am unhappy. If you believe that that thought knows something, that's why you respond. You believe that the thought is telling you how you are. And it doesn't tell you anything. It could tell me you're unhappy, but it can't it doesn't know anything about you. It's not to say you might not feel something, but feeling something because the thought tells you, that's belief in the thought. The thought doesn't know anything. It can't think. It can't cause anything. You follow?
yes, in a way, but like the thought does, I respond to the thought, you know? Like kind of one of the things we were saying earlier, I find myself, whatever, responding to the thought a lot of the time. Like the way it plays out is like there will be some mental image or story that plays, and then there will be a feeling of like, this is wrong, I don't want this.
Mm.
And or this is not good enough, or this is not how it should be.
I
And
heard a good story the other day that I think is relevant here, and that is
yeah.
that if what your thoughts tell you, if that was coming from a stranger, if
Hmm.
a stranger turned up and started talking to you the way your thoughts talk to you, what would you do? You wouldn't put
Honestly,
put up with it, would you?
I might put up with it, Vince. I feel low a lot of the time. Like
Yeah.
I can be a bit of a punching bag usually, for myself, but um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So if you think about it as coming from another person, you would think, okay, if it came from a stranger, I might react this way. But if it came from a friend, it would depend on my relationship to that friend, how I would react to it. If it came from a parent, or if it came from somebody I feel good about, I would react one way. If it came from somebody I feel not good about, I would react a different way. So you can see
Sure.
it have all these different reactions if it came from outside of you. Right? Yet when it comes from inside of you, it doesn't have that same kind of reaction, does it? It's starting to now. You're starting to do exactly that.
Hmm. I don't know. I think I still believe it a lot when I
Yep.
when I hear it from myself. And
Okay, so it's not a case of convincing yourself to not believe it. It's a case of what does it feel like to believe it? It's not about the believing it. It's about what does it feel like to believe it? That's your connection. Now, it's a case of not changing that. That will change, but not doing it. It's a case of just understanding, or not understanding, noticing, appreciating, recognizing, discovering. How do you feel about it? And that will change it.
There's no reason not to feel bad because of events that are actually taking place. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
that you can't change that, but you can you don't have to believe the replay of the story of what took place. Oh, this bad thing happened. Yeah, and you felt bad at the time. You don't have to believe that the replay that you keep telling yourself is the same event.
Okay.
The retelling is causing the suffering. The event caused the suffering. The retelling of it is just repeating it unnecessarily. The narrator telling you that over and over. If you don't believe the narrator, did you
Yeah.
see that it was simply the event that did it, not, and even the image of the event, but the narrator telling you about the event and you getting sad because of that, that's believing the narrator.
Mm.
And it's not a case of not doing it. It's a case of recognizing it when it happens.
Right.
Oh boy.
Just see that the narrator doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't know you. You know it. It doesn't know you.
And this struggle that you're having right now is perfect. It's exactly where you need to be. And you're always in that place, you know, always in that place, even if you don't appreciate it. If not appreciating it is still it. And the reason you're in it is because it's offering you something. And the reason that you're still in it is because you haven't seen what it's offering you. And that doesn't mean that you focus on what are you missing. It means you focus on what are you experiencing? What is it you've got right now? And what's underneath it? And this is a trick. If you find an answer, it's not it. You've got to ask yourself the question that has no answer to know that you've got it. If you think there's an answer possible, you're on the wrong track. If you think you've got an answer, you're definitely at the wrong destination. But the questions are fine. Just don't expect to find an answer. Just like who are you? I don't know. Perfect answer. It's not an answer, is it? It's a recognition that you don't know the answer. So I get from the look on your face and the body posture and everything, I get that you're feeling a bit whatever it is that you're feeling. But that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. There's your juice in that feeling. It is perfect. it's exactly where you need to be where you don't want to be.
Okay. I mean, if I'm in a place I don't want to be, it's really hard for me to not try to get out of there, you know?
Yeah, I get it. And so what you do is you go, what's this got to show me? Oh, okay. The idea that I think if I try hard enough, I can get out. Oh, that's a crazy one. Where did that come from? Oh, I know, it came from the old conditioning, didn't it? Because now I know that effort isn't going to fix it. I've had that lesson 1,000 times. Can you see that no matter what it is that turns up, it's exactly the right place? There is something for you to learn. There is some juice in it, wherever it is, whatever it is. There's some juice. You've just got to find it. And you're not going to find it by getting lost in what it is. You're going to find it by looking underneath it.
Mm.
So the perfect place is where you can't respond. There's no words that come up. There's nothing you can do except go, ah, ah, ah. That's the perfect place.
It doesn't feel like the perfect place.
I know that. I know. Isn't that
Yeah.
perfect? Isn't that fucking perfect?
I mean, are we saying that that's trying to teach me that I'm looking for something, that feels
You're
different, I guess.
you're saying it. You're saying it. That's right. Yeah.
But that's a
Yeah.
really hard one to let go of, Oh
Don't let
man.
go of it. We'll see that. There's the juice in that. Not wanting to let go of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It was the event that caused the pain in that moment. Whatever the event was, it caused pain in the present moment. The narrator just tortures you about it.
So here's an interesting one that you might know better than me as a doctor, right? When we get a stimulation of our physical senses, we get a release of hormones, or however you want to put it. I don't know exactly the mechanism of way it works, but we get this flood of hormones in our body, right? And I understand that they actually last for around about 90 seconds or something really small like that. And then they're gone. They fade away. We get this injection of stuff and it happens, and we get, whether it's adrenaline or whatever it is, and then it fades away, right? But then you get these people that have a depression, and it's like it's constant, right? And the reason that it's constant is because it keeps getting regenerated, and it gets regenerated by stories. But the initial thing, it faded. It would have faded had it not been re-stimulated by a story. And a lot of these stories are pretty unconscious. We don't even realize they're happening.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm going to go and leave you with this right now. That if you're in puzzlement, that's perfect.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.